This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mintz.
She was furious. Never in her 79 years had she witnessed such insolence. She arrived on the train at 8:47 on a Thursday morning. It was cold, and it was one of the first stations before the crowd started to gather for the morning commute. Her son, Damon, was gracious enough to escort her into town for her doctor's appointment. In her mind, they had made arrangements to sit side by side in the easy access area. It was usually reserved for the elderly, a group she firmly believed she belonged to. As they walked onto the train together, a large cohort of schoolchildren sat in the upstairs and downstairs compartments, filling the entire cabin with their loud, boisterous, obnoxious schoolyard antics. She forgave this. What she did not forgive was the series of able-bodied young so-called professionals sitting in the seats usually reserved for the elderly, the pregnant, and the disabled. She did not let her disgust at their use of these seats go unnoticed. "Just shameful," she said to Damon, as she was forced to take a seat between two such professionals, while her son made room for an elderly woman to sit in the opposite seat that appeared vacant. "You're a good boy, Damon," she announced to her 33-year-old son as he grimaced in embarrassment. "Such a lovely gesture," she continued. "There are so many people who need these seats because they are old, like me, or they require assistance, and there is no one as chivalrous as you, standing up and letting them sit down. It's just not on," she said. "Okay, Mum, it's okay," Damon said in an attempt to calm her. "No, it's just not on," she continued. "It's horrible, the state of the world these days. These young people on their phones, not watching where they go when they walk, or worse, when they drive. Just texting all the time. No one reads books anymore. What happened to literature? What happened to the arts? What happened to culture?" she exclaimed. The train pulled into another station, and another influx of passengers arrived to fill the remaining vacant spots. "And look at this," she went on. "More people getting on, and you watch, none of these people will get up and offer their seats, not one." A woman walked on and stood near the doors. She held onto a handrail and supported herself as she listened to a podcast and stared vacantly out the window. "And look," the woman yelled, "a pregnant woman, and none of you have the decency to stand up and offer her your seat. You should all be ashamed of yourselves," she declared. "Mum, please," said Damon. He yelled out from across the aisle as the crowds had separated him from view. "No, don't mum please me, Damon. This is an absolute outrage. None of these people deserve the respect I bet they expect from others when they take the public transportation system into their places of work. I bet they would expect someone to stand up and give up a seat for their mother or their wife if they were pregnant. But do they offer the same thing to these people? No, I don't think so." "Hey, lady, why don't you shut up?" said a man who had been reading his book. Margaret was taken aback. "Excuse me," she yelled. Damon's face went red. "I don't see you offering your seat," he said. "I'm an old woman," she yelled. The lady in question motioned toward the area where the argument had erupted. "So what? Stop giving us a hard time. We're all trying to get to work in peace, and you're ruining our commute," he said. "Sorry, mate. My mum's just a bit old school. Come on, Mum. Give these people a rest," Damon said. "How dare you?" she yelled at Damon. She now stood from her seat. "How dare you embarrass me like this, you petulant little..." She paused, thinking about what she wanted to say to humiliate him even further, when the woman who had been standing near the entrance doors presented herself. "Excuse me," the lady said. Margaret broke her concentration and looked at her. "Yes, dear. I'm sorry about all this. It just makes me sick to think someone like you has to deal with people in a world like this," Margaret said. "I just want you to know that I'm not pregnant," she said. The doors opened onto an inner-city station, and the woman shuffled her way through the crowd to exit. Margaret realized her jaw was wide open and slowly sat herself down. As the stations progressed, Damon was able to maneuver over to his mother and eventually took a seat adjacent to her. He removed the phone from his pocket and checked his social media, occasionally glancing up at his mother in between. "Are you okay?" he asked. She did not respond. He had noticed the change in her temperament these last few months. He and his sisters had. It had formed the basis of their group chats in a side conversation that they had set up behind their mother's back. He secretly accessed the conversation and began to type. Mum had major meltdown on the train this morning. I'm with her now, taking her to see her doctor. She seems okay now, but very angry. Talk later. He punched in with his thumbs before placing the phone back in his pocket. You okay? He asked again. I already told you I was, she hissed back. He cleared his throat, and they both stared out the window of the train as it passed through the tunnel. There was no more scenery, but they looked out the windows as if there was. Easier to pretend than to face one another and admit. Next stop, City Hall, the voiceover announced. Margaret and Damon were the only two remaining in the elderly aisles. Mum, this is us, he said. She said nothing. The train came to a standstill and the doors opened. Margaret remained sitting and looked down at her fingers as she rubbed them together. Mum, he said. She shook her head and they both watched the doors close and the train pull away from the station, back into the tunnel.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.